Phantom Vessel of Desolation. The moon hung like a cold spectre in the ink-black sky, as the ghost ship of Blackwater Bay materialized on the horizon, an ethereal vessel that whispered of forgotten terrors. Its skeletal frame seemed to defy the laws of the living, drifting aimlessly on the dark waters, like a phantom condemned to an eternal voyage. Driven by a curiosity tinged with dread, I embarked on a perilous journey to unravel the mysteries that clung to the haunted ship. As my own vessel drew closer, the night air thickened with an ominous energy. The water, usually calm and serene, churned with an otherworldly force as the ghost ship loomed larger. The salty breeze carried a melody, a haunting tune that echoed through the desolation of Blackwater Bay. It seemed to be the lament of lost souls, forever bound to the spectral vessel. Boarding the ghostly ship, I navigated the deserted deck. The once majestic sails flapped with a hollow sound, and the time-worn wood beneath my feet groaned with the weight of centuries. The air seemed to hum with the echoes of a forgotten crew, their spectral presence lingering like a phantom memory. The ship's cabin, a portal to the heart of the haunting, beckoned with an unseen force. As I crossed the threshold, the air became heavy with an oppressive stillness. The ghostly remnants of the captain and crew, frozen in spectral animation, seemed to continue their duties with a mechanical precision that defied the passage of time. A logbook, its pages yellowed with age, chronicled the vessel's tragic history. The ghost ship of Blackwater Bay, once a thriving vessel that sailed the seas under the flag of fortune, had fallen prey to a malevolent force. The crew, consumed by greed and desperation, had resorted to dark rituals in a bid for unimaginable wealth. The consequence was a pact with the supernatural and eternal curse that bound them to the desolate vessel. As I explored the cabins, the shadows seemed to coalesce into ghostly figures. The crew, their eyes hollow and expressions frozen in despair, reached out with spectral hands. The ship's haunting melody grew more pronounced, echoing through the narrow corridors like a forlorn requiem. In the captain's quarters, a weathered map revealed the ship's cursed trajectory, a ceaseless voyage through the haunted waters of Blackwater Bay. The route seemed to trace a pattern known only to the damned crew, a circuitous path that led to nowhere. The ship, a prisoner of the supernatural realm, sailed on with no destination but the relentless pursuit of the cursed pact. Driven by an otherworldly compulsion, I ascended to the crow's nest, the highest point on the ship. The wind carried the haunting melody to a crescendo. As I gazed out over the desolation of Blackwater Bay, the moonlight illuminated the spectral ship's wake, a luminous trail of ethereal mist that seemed to connect the living and the dead. As the ghost ship sailed through the haunted waters, the supernatural forces intensified. The spectral crew, now aware of my presence, turned their hollow gazes towards me. The ship's time-worn timbers groaned, and the haunting melody echoed with an urgency that hinted at the supernatural forces at play. In the captain's quarters, a spectral figure materialized, the captain himself, a gaunt visage with eyes that gleamed like orbs of trapped starlight. His voice, a hollow whisper that resonated with centuries of despair, recounted the tale of the cursed pact. The ship, once a vessel of fortune, had become a prison for the crew's avarice. Desperation seized me, as the supernatural forces sought to entrap me in the vessel's eternal voyage. The haunting melody reached a dissonant climax, and the ship seemed to quake with an otherworldly energy. The spectral figures, once frozen in spectral animation, lunged towards me with spectral hands that chilled the air. In a moment of terror, I uttered words of release, a plea for the ghost ship to find peace and break free from the shackles of the supernatural pact. The captain's hollow gaze met mine, and the haunting melody softened into a mournful lament. The ship, caught in the limbo between the living and the dead, seemed to sigh with an ethereal relief. As I disembarked, the ghost ship of Blackwater Bay gradually faded into the moonlit mist. The haunting melody lingered in the air, a melancholic echo of the vessel's spectral voyage. Blackwater Bay, once a desolate expanse, returned to an eerie tranquility as the supernatural forces dispersed. The ghost ship, now a vanishing spectre on the horizon, left behind a haunting memory, a testament to the consequences of greed and the enduring power of supernatural forces. The desolation of Blackwater Bay seemed to sigh with a spectral melancholy, as if the waters themselves carried the echoes of the tragic tale that unfolded on the ethereal vessel condemned to sail the seas of the afterlife. Spectres on the Blackwater. The tale of the ghost ship of Blackwater Bay was a whispered legend among the coastal towns, a spectral enigma that had haunted the waters for generations. The locals spoke of a ship, its skeletal frame cloaked in ethereal mist, appearing on moonlit nights like a harbinger of the supernatural. Driven by a morbid curiosity, I set sail to unravel the mysteries that shrouded the ghostly vessel. The moon hung low in the inky sky as my boat cut through the calm waters of Blackwater Bay. The air was thick with anticipation, and an ominous hush settled over the sea. The night seemed to stretch endlessly, each passing moment bringing me closer to the fabled apparition that haunted these coastal waters. As the coastline faded into a silhouette, a spectral glow emerged on the horizon, a faint light that flickered like a distant memory. The sea breeze carried with it the scent of salt and foreboding as the spectral ship materialized from the darkness. The ghost ship of Blackwater Bay, draped in an otherworldly mist, sailed with an ethereal grace that defied the laws of the living. Compelled by an unseen force, my boat drew nearer to the ghostly vessel. Its tattered sails billowed in the wind, the skeletal frame creaking with an eerie melody. The air around the ship seemed to thicken, and an unnatural chill settled over the bay as I beheld the spectral apparition. The deck of the ghost ship was adorned with tattered remnants of a forgotten era. Broken lanterns swung with an otherworldly rhythm, casting ethereal shadows that danced across the deck. The air, pregnant with the echoes of a maritime tragedy, whispered tales of lost souls and a vessel condemned to drift between the realms. I cautiously stepped onto the ghost ship's deck, the wood groaning beneath my weight. The silence was stifling, broken only by the haunting creak of the ship and the distant lapping of the waves against its skeletal hull. The moon cast an ethereal glow on the time-worn planks, revealing a scene frozen in the spectral grasp of time. As I explored the ghost ship, a sense of trepidation gripped me. The air seemed to vibrate with an unseen energy, and the shadows that clung to the ship's rusted chains and tattered rigging appeared to shift and contort. The spectral whispers, now more pronounced, painted a tale of maritime tragedy, a ship lost to the fury of the sea, its crew condemned to an eternity adrift on the Blackwater. In the bowels of the ghost ship, a captain's log lay sprawled on a rotting desk. The pages, yellowed with age, chronicled the ship's ill-fated voyage, a tale of treacherous waters, a mutinous crew, and a final desperate plea for salvation. The captain's words echoed through the ghostly chambers, revealing a maritime tragedy that had left the crew marooned between the realms of the living and the dead. Driven by a morbid compulsion, I descended into the ship's hold, a cavernous abyss that seemed to extend into the very depths of the sea. The air became dense, and an otherworldly luminescence bathed the hold in an eerie glow. Creaking echoes reverberated through the darkness, and a presence, unseen but palpable, seemed to watch my every move. In the heart of the hold, a spectral congregation materialized, the crew of the ghost ship, their visages distorted by the passage of time, stood in silent lament. Their hollow eyes bore into mine, and the air resonated with the collective sorrow of those trapped in a nautical purgatory. A phantom figure, adorned in the tattered remnants of a captain's uniform, emerged from the spectral congregation. The captain's gaze, haunted and accusatory, conveyed a silent plea for release from the spectral chains that bound the crew to the ghost ship. The air thickened with an anguished murmur, as if the very essence of the maritime tragedy clung to the souls, condemned to drift in the netherworld. The spectral captain gestured towards the ship's helm, an ancient wheel that had steered the ghost ship through countless storms and tempests. The ethereal glow intensified as the captain's silent entreaty echoed through the spectral hold. It became clear that the ghost ship, an apparition adrift on Blackwater Bay, sought redemption for the maritime tragedy that had ensnared its crew. Compelled by an otherworldly force, I placed my hands on the ship's wheel. The air crackled with spectral energy, and the ghost ship seemed to respond to an unseen command. The sails, once tattered and lifeless, billowed with an otherworldly wind, and the ship surged forward with a spectral grace. As the ghost ship sailed through the moonlit waters, the apparitions on deck seemed to shimmer in the ethereal glow. The captain's hollow gaze met mine one final time, conveying a sense of gratitude before the spectral figure dissipated into the night. The crew, released from the maritime purgatory, faded into the shadows, their anguished whispers silenced by the ocean breeze. With a spectral wind at my back, I guided the ghost ship through the waters of Blackwater Bay. The moonlit night, once shrouded in foreboding, became a canvas for the spectral vessel's journey. The ethereal glow illuminated the sea, casting a haunting beauty upon the waves as the ghost ship sailed towards the horizon, its crew finally finding solace in the embrace of the night. As the first light of dawn broke on the horizon, the ghost ship dissolved into the morning mist, leaving behind only the echoes of a maritime tragedy and the spectral whispers that lingered in the sea breeze. Blackwater Bay, once haunted by the spectral enigma, bore witness to the redemption of the ghostly vessel, a journey from the shadows of maritime purgatory to the tranquil embrace of the ocean's depths.